Alright, so Shalom, Shalom. So first and foremost, start off by saying Barakathon Yahweh. Excuse me, we're just sitting doing a lesson in the car. Got the AC unit going, so try to speak loud. It shouldn't be over me, right? But once again, start off by saying Barakathon Yahweh Bahashim Shah. And I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, Bahashim, Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And shout out to the whole elect, starting with the 144,000. Shalom. Alright, so Lord willing, right? I actually went into this lesson yesterday, but I felt like it was I wanted to go into it more in a sense. I feel like the Spirit had more for me to go into. So Lord willing, right? We'll title this lesson the marriage supper of the Lamb, right? And understanding, it's like, in a sense, through the Spirit, I was saying how, the Spirit going to lead me to go into it. Yesterday we was going into predestination at camp, how, the only one was going to be able to overcome this destruction or overcome this, this destruction, as I should say, this perilous time that's on the way, right? It's dang near here, right? It's the elect. Like someone's calling me real fast. I'm gonna tell them. Alright, it's lucky for that, but only one gonna be able to overcome is the elect. But ultimately, no one can say that they didn't hear His word, they didn't hear His truth, right? I've been looking for that precept for a minute. I don't think it was Ezekiel. Bear with me. I could have sworn it was in Ezekiel, right? But it's a precept just really just going into how ain't nobody can say they didn't hear this truth, right? Okay, I think that's it. Let me see. Okay, in a sense, I think it's it, Ezekiel 33. Let me see what it says in the NLT, right? So it says in the Spirit, I think this is right? Because no one can say that they ain't hear His word, they ain't hear His truth, because when we go into the wedding, right, the invitation was sent out. How about y'all shot send His prophets out to the world to right? Okay. All right, here let's go. Let's start right here, Ezekiel 33. We'll read right here in the NLT, right? Verse 33 and verse 3. It says, "When the watchman sees the enemy coming, he sounds the alarm to warn the people. Then, if those who hear the alarm refuse to take action, it is their own fault if they die." And we've been sounding the alarm. We've been telling you, Micah 2 and 10. This in the sense. Just quote that, right? Depart. Let me paraphrase this. Depart. This is not your rest, right? Verse 5, right, says they heard the alarm but ignored it. So the responsibility is theirs. If they had listened to the warning, they would have saved their lives, right? That's why Yahweh said what? Ezekiel 3 said, "Give them warning from me," because when we teach you the truth and you ignore it, hey, the blood out on our hands, it's of your own self. But you have, Jake, they've been ignoring it. And now we in these times where right now you see how gas shooting skyrocket, but we in these times to where, in a sense, the world finna go into chaos. The world finna go into a big chaos, dangerous time, perilous times, as Scripture speaks about. But we know that's Esau's whole motive. That's part of his game plan to create order out of chaos. Order out of chaos is what he call it, right? His whole game plan to create order out of chaos. So he get people uproared and lost, right? Get people uproared and lost. Then he control them with his plans, his philosophy, his deception, right? He can come and deceive you like, hey man, I can help you with this, right? If you want this, hey, take this chip, before and things as such, right? Right. So let's go from there. Let's go to Revelation 19, right? Let's go into, matter of fact, the precept just came to mind in a sense what I was speaking about. right? Because Esau uses this, right? He uses the fact that Jake is lost and confused. He used Oda-ko, right? To create his ways, in a sense, right? This is Revelation 13 real fast. I just want to go into verse 11, because this is speaking of America, right? But I want to go into, right, it says, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. He had two horns like a lamb, Democrat, Republican, and he spake as a dragon, because his draconian law, his draconian ways, his draconian system. That serpent, man, he's smooth, he's crafty, cunning, He used these things, but for so long we've been warning you, right? We've been warning you, right? Right, I got definition, right? It says draconian, of laws or the application exceptionally harsh and severe. So we've been warning you, Ezekiel 33, right? We've been warning, we've been sounding the trumpet, we've been sounding the horn, we've been telling you, hey, this place is going down, the wicked, right? They're going to come with a great slaughter upon our people, man, because they're the Most High sword. We've been giving you this warning, we've been sounding the trumpet for so long, right? But Jake has ignored it. Jake has ignored it. Jake has, as we go into the parable in Luke, they've been caught up in everything else in the world. They've been caught up with all the other affairs in this world that they don't want to hear the truth, right? As soon as I started doing the lesson, man, the whole world needs me, right? So I'll put this on Do Not Disturb. I Do Not Disturb do not work for some reason. I can have it on the personal thing and all that. People still contact me, right? But in a sense, right? Let's go to Revelation. Let's call it on the phone. Up here. Alright. So Revelation 19, right? In verse, bear with me. Revelation 19, and we'll start at verse 7. It says, let us be glad and rejoice and give honor to him, for the marriage of the Lamb is come, and his wife has made herself ready. Right? Because when you go up to verses, matter of fact, I'm going to read verse 4 and I'm going to jump down. Actually, verse 2. Right? He's going to the Hallelujah, right? He's giving, which means, praise Yahweh Shem Shah. In the sense, but I'm going to read verse 2, right? Because it's Revelation 19, right? And at the top of it is going into how, how about Shem Shah gonna bring vengeance on that great whore, right? Revelation 19:2, it says, for true and righteous are his judgments, for he has judged the great whore, which is America, Babylon. Speaks about Revelation 17, right, in 18, which did corrupt the earth with her fornication, and hath avenged the blood of his saints at her hand, because, what is that, Revelation 18:6, she drunk with the blood of the saints, which are our people, right? So now, but in a sense, for so long, Jeremiah 49:2 says what? Those who drunk of the, not 49:2, 49:12, those who drunk of the cup was not to drink. Those who had drunken of the cup, those who were not supposed to drink of the cup haven't certainly drunken, when you paraphrase it, right? Jake done got deceived by this devil. He done got deceived by these people, right? So now, Yahweh Shem Shah, for one, we sound the trumpet. Two, Yahweh Shem Shah is he in his spiritual marriage that we in. Yahweh Shem Shah, right? That Yahweh Shem Shah has sent the invitations out. He has sent the prophets. He has sent the teachers, right, out to tell them to depart from these ways, depart from these doctors, depart from these people, right, and return back to the Father. That's what marriage means. Marriage means join together. That union. That's why it's a marriage supper. In a sense, right now we're being joined together, right, to Yahweh Shem Shah through his wisdom. Now to understand it, we've been joined together to him. And then, but willing, this was going to lead us keeping that faith, having that faith, and knowledge, that understanding, right? Because his faith is a gift. We're going to be beat up into the chariots with Yahweh Shah. And that's when that union going to be fulfilled. We're going to have that supper, man. You know how a wedding goes. You have the wedding, or the bride thing will come out, whatever, right? Then you have this, I forgot what it's called, reception. You have the reception after, where everybody go party, have fun, drink. That's going to be us in the chariot, in the kingdom, man, when we have a supper with Yahweh Shem Shah, man. What do you say, what's that, let me grab that, because I done quoted it a few times. Bear with me. Let me see, bear with me. I don't know why I can't find it. But in the sense, I'll paraphrase, Lord willing, I find it, put it up here, right? But, in a sense, Yahweh Shah, right? He's saving his wine to drink with his disciples, Let me see. They want to bring everything else up what I'm looking for, right? Okay. Matthew 26:27. Okay, here we go. Matthew 26:27. So all you have about shot, right? So this is Matthew 26 and verse 27, right? At verse 29 actually, he said, "But I say unto you, I will not drink henceforth this fruit of the vine until that day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom." Right? So that's that supper, man. That marriage, that supper, right? Well, so let's go back to Revelation 19, right? So let's go to Revelation 19, right? Jump back down to verse 7, right? It says, "Let us be glad and rejoice and give honor to him, for the marriage of the Lamb is come, and his wife, which is the elect, has made herself ready," right? The marriage of the Lamb, his Lamb is who? Yahweh Shah. Because we're in that spiritual marriage with Yahweh Shah, right? Israel is first as unto a beautiful woman, right? Let's see. It's Isaiah 54. In verse 5, it says, "For thy maker is thy husband, the Lord Yahweh of hosts is his name, and thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel, the power of the whole earth shall he be called," right? So we're in spiritual marriage with Yahweh Shah. That's why he said, spiritual fornication was the getting of it all. Let's go to that. Wisdom of Solomon 12 and 14, or 14 and 12. It's like it. Right? It says, "For the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication, and the invention of them the corruption of life," because Yahweh Shah gave us the laws and commandments. He gave us the ways for us to follow, for us not to fall into the heathen or worship these the heathens of the other nations. But what Jake do? Jake went out and defiled himself. Jake went out and played the whole lot. That's why he said in Jeremiah 3, right? Jeremiah 3:1. He says, they say, "If a man put away his wife and she go from him and become another man's, shall he return to her again?" Right? No, because she will be considered a harlot. Right? A woman belongs to a man as long as that man is alive. Once that man is dead, then she can go to another man. As long as she's alive, she still belongs to him. Right? So that means no. So the answer to that is no, because she will be a harlot. Right? Adulteress. Right? They would stone her to death. Right? But watch what he say. He says, "Shall not that land be greatly polluted? But thou hast played the harlot with many lovers." Meaning what? Jake done been out in this, and done followed this God, this way, this philosophy. Jake done played the harlot, man. Right? He says, "Yet return again to me," said the Lord. And that's that spiritual, and that's that spiritual marriage that we in, when we're gonna return to him. But ultimately, right now, the elect is being brought back into him, right? Through this knowledge, understanding, this wisdom. That's the vow, right? When you in the marriage, you make a vow, right? Right? Let's go there. I know this. Ecclesiastes 5 and 4. Right? That's why the Most High say what? It's better for you not to make a vow than to make a vow don't keep it. Right? Ecclesiastes 5 and 4 says, "When thou vowest a vow unto Yahweh, defer not to pay it, for he hath no pleasure in fools. Pay that which thou hast vowed. Better is it that thou shouldst not vow, than thou shouldst vow and not pay." right? Because when we come into this truth, we blessed not understanding faith, these gifts, right? We making a vow. We come, Yahweh Shem Shai is setting us back in through this marriage, right? Let's see, let me see here, Deuteronomy, bear with me, I think it's in, okay, right here, Deuteronomy 23, and I started for 21, right? It says, when thou shalt vow a vow unto the Lord thy power, thou shalt not slack to pay it. For the Lord Yahweh thy power will surely require it of thee. It will be sin in thee. But if thou shalt forbear to vow, it should be no sin in thee. That which is gone off thy lips, thou shalt keep and perform, even a free will offering, according as thou hast vowed to the Lord Yahweh thy power, which thou hast promised with thy mouth, right? Because you got to understand, when we come into this truth, when Yahweh Shem Shai give us knowledge and understanding, we return to making a vow to walk in this order, because, we're being brought to the remembrance, right? You got Jake out here who dumbed out. That's why Yahweh Shai said he only coming for the ones who know they sick, right? He coming for ones who know they sick, because those are the ones who repent. Those are the ones who make that vow to return back. Those are the ones who know they're going off, right? So we're making that vow in that marriage, through sick and sin, through death do us part, literally, man. We ready to do whatever come with this truth. We ready to ride out to the end in this spiritual marriage with Yahweh Shem Shai. But you having Jake. Jake broke that vow a long time ago, that covenant. Jake Ben broke that vow, right? Jake Ben went away from it, right? So let's go back into it. That's why now only the elect, right? Matter of fact, let's read this real quick. Wisdom of Solomon 7, right? In verse 24, just going into how that wisdom and knowledge, brings back to the Father in a sense, right? It says, for wisdom is more moving than any motion. She passes and goes through all things by the reason of her pureness. For she is the breath. This wisdom Psalm 24, I'm at verse 25 now. It says, for she is the breath of the power of Yahweh and pure influence flowing from the glory of the Almighty, therefore can no defiled thing fall into her. For she is the brightness of the everlasting light, the unspotted mirror of the power of Yahweh and the image of his goodness. And being but one, she can do all things. Right? And remaining in herself, she maketh all things new. And in all ages enter to holy souls, right? She maketh them friends of Yahweh and prophets, right? So understanding that, through this knowledge, understanding we're being joined back with Yahweh Shem Shai. That's what marriage means, joined together, right? In that spiritual marriage that we in, right? And ultimately right now, only the elect is being joined together with Yahweh Shem Shai. Because why? The rest of Jake, as we're gonna go into, they despise it. They say they had this, they say they had that, they had all these other things on their mind, right? So, verse 8, it says, to her was granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen, clean and white. White means pure. So we arrange that fine linen, that arrayed in fine linen, that clean and white, that pureness, that righteousness of Yahweh Shem Shai, because His word cleanses us. That's Psalms 119, if I'm not mistaken. Right, this word cleanses. This word cleanses that filth that that them demons out here. It cleans it. It cleans all those filth and those uncleanness off of us, man. It makes us clean, right? In the sense where we're gonna be perfect in due time and go to the second covenant. How we're gonna be changed to spiritual bodies. But only the ones who walking in that ordinance, walking in that way, he walking in that spiritual marriage with Yahweh Shem Shai is gonna be changed to those spiritual bodies. Everybody else gonna have to go through that punishment. They're going to be born again in the kingdom through the elect seed. Right? It says, for the fine line is the righteousness of the saints. And he said unto me, right, blessed are they, who is that? The elect, which are called to the marriage supper of the Lamb. It's the point, because everyone was called at this in a point. So we're going to hold verse 9, right? We're going to hold verse 9. Let's go to Matthew 22. Matter of fact, we can go to it in NLT. Right? We go to it, and we have both versions pulled up. Matthew 22, right? Let's pull it up in the NLT. All right, so this is Matthew 22, right? And starting at verse 1. In NLT, and I really just go back and forth, right? The low and the spirit is loud, right? It said, Yahweh Shai also told them of the parables. He said, kingdom of heaven can be illustrated by the story of a king, who prepared who prepared a great wedding feast for his son, Yahushua, right? Because you got to think, when Yahushua kingdom, he said, I will appoint the kingdom unto you, as my Father appointed unto me, because he's sharing his kingdom with us. That's why the scriptures say, we got to suffer with him to be glorified with him. Let me paraphrase it, right? Romans chapter 8, right? He says, when the banquet was ready, went to the wedding, he sent his servants, the prophets, to notify those who were invited, but they all refused to come, right? Because the word has went out into the whole world. The trumpet has been sounded, they just refused, right? The trumpet has been sounded, they just refused. So now it's on them what's going to happen to them, right? It says, so he sent other servants to tell them, the prophets, right, the other teachers, right? It says the feast has been prepared, the bulls fattened, the cattle have been killed, and everything is ready. Come to the banquet. It's all ready. Of course, it's on us. We ain't got ourselves together. We out here bugged out. Look how Jake living. Look how lifestyle we live. Everything is ready and set. But Yahushua waiting on us to get ourselves together. But what? Jake is a gang saying people, they continue to refuse and reject Yahushua, right? He says, but the guests he had invited ignored them and went their own way. One to his farm, another to his business. Others seized his messengers and sought them and killed them. And this is one of the reasons why, these other nations was, Yahushua was furious with us, because they killed the prophets, tore down our altars, right? They did all these wicked things, right? So it says in verse 7, it says, when the king was furious, he sent out his army, which is the angels, to destroy the murderers and burn their town. And this why you had right? And it says he sent out his army, the angels, to destroy the murderers and burn their town. This is why you had other nations like Babylonian, right? Romans, right? Things. So you had these nations coming to our land and ultimately do what they did, because that was judgment upon us. How about y'all bring that judgment upon people for them killing the prophet, ignoring the word, ignoring the truth? Or you going to 2 Kings 17, right? At the beginning of it, it's telling you, I sent my prophets to tell you these things, but you ignored them, in a sense, right? Verse 8, he said to his servants, the wedding feast is ready, and the guests I invited are not worthy of the honor, right? And we praise Yahushua. We worthy of the honor to be brought to the wedding, right? Be joined together with Yahushua on the chariot, man, right? But they don't know how honor it is to even for the truth to be unto it. Because remember, at one point it's not to understand what script from us, but now it's going back out. Now the word is out. Now Yahushua sent the prophets, he sent the elders, he sent the teachers, right? The truth is back unto us. The invitation is going out. We sounding the trumpet, man, right? It says, now go out to the street and corners and invite everyone you see. So the servants brought in everyone they could find, good and bad, alike, and the banquet hall was filled with guests, because you have some in there crept underwears, right? It says, but when the king came in to meet with the guests, he noticed a man wasn't wearing the proper clothes for a wedding. That's the ones who crept underwears. They're not clothed in that garment we read about in Revelations 19:8. That pure whiteness, that the righteousness of the saint, they're not clothed in that 100% truth. That righteousness, man, they bugged out. They in it for the wrong reason. They in it for the wrong thing. You got some in the truth using it for money. You got some in the truth for clout. You got all these reasons besides the 100% truth, to do the will and do the will of the Father, man. Right? It says, friend, he asked, how is it that you are here without wedding clothes? The man had no reply. Then the king said to his aside, with aids, bind his hands and feet and throw him to the outer darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Right? It says, for many are called, right, but few are chosen, right? Because many are called, but few are chosen. Many people come to you, but all of them don't hang, all of them don't stay alone, right? Because they have all these other reasons, right? Matthew 13, that parable of the seed, the parable of the seeds, they have all these other reasons that grab them up and pull them away, because they're not truly worthy to be fitted to the kingdom. The rulers the men who are gonna come, are gonna rule in the kingdom, are the elect. Those ones who got themselves in order on this side, right? Yahushua not just gonna let anybody rule in the kingdom, man. Right? So let's go to Luke. Let's go to Luke 14, right? Starting around verse 15, right? It says, bear with me. I'm back in the KJV. It says, when one of them that sat at the meat heard these things, he said to him, blessed is he that eat the bread in the kingdom. This is going into the supper. We just went into the marriage, right? How many was invited, but many rejected, right? Now it's going to the supper, right? It says, then he said to him, a certain man made a great serpent and abide many, right? So this is Yahweh Shem Shah, you know, who the supper is the truth. This word is sound doctrine. He sent his word out, right? He said, and he sent his servant at supper time to say, you know, that we're bidden, come for all things are now ready, right? He sent the prophets out to teach the word, teach the truth, right? But what's the truth? The sound doctrine telling them to return back to the Father, right? To get out the way of this world, get out the way of Babylon, return back, because there's going to be a sore destruction upon this place, right? And if you're not found worthy of that marriage, right? If you're not found worthy to be, accepted into the marriage, you know, guess what? You're going to be destroyed. Where the scripture says, going to be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Where the other guy, he wasn't clothed in a righteous garment. Remember, it says the bride made herself ready, right? She had arrayed herself in fine linen, right? White and pure. This is the righteousness of the saints, the paraphrases. That righteous, that 100% truth. If you're not clothed in that 100% truth, that righteous garment, then you're going to be thrown out, man, right? It says, and all they that, and they all with one consent began to make excuse, right? The first said to him, I have bought a piece of ground, and I must needs and go see it. I pray thee have me excused, right? It says, and another said, I have bought 5 yoke of oxen, and I go to prove them. I pray thee have me excused. So they're having all these excuses, right? It says, another one said, I have married a wife, and therefore I cannot come. So you having these excuses. Jobs, money, land, women. You having all these excuses in the world. The lust of life, the lust of the world, which Yahweh Shah told you not to pay attention to, because these are the things that are going to pull you away from the truth, right? That's why that word going out. These are the things going to have you caught up in the way of this world, right? Ultimately, the scriptures tell you that everything around is going to be destroyed. So all our focus should be on what? The marriage. When you're in the marriage, you shouldn't be focused, planning hard. You shouldn't be focused on nothing else. You focus on your household, your marriage. That's what we focusing on, right? But Jake playing the hard light again, right? It says, so that servant came and showed his lord these things. Then the master of the house, being angry, said to his servant, go quickly into the streets and lanes of the city and bring in hither the poor and the mammon and the halt and the blind, right? So understanding, that's who the Lord is coming for. The Lord is coming for those ones who know they're sick. That's that Mark, right? When he was sitting down at dinner and with the publicans and sinners, they asked him why he's sitting down, and he said, I come for the ones who need a position. He come for the ones who know they sick. He come for the ones who ain't caught up in the lifestyle of this world. He come for the ones who know they need to repent and want to turn back, right? Because those other ones so deep, they caught up in their lifestyle. The one with the wife, the one with the land, the one with they're so deep caught up in their lifestyle, they don't even see the iniquity they living in. They don't even see the sin they living in. That's so normal because they dumb. They dumb, and once they drunken, you know, when you drunk, you dumb, you out your body, you're not thinking in a sense, right? Verse 22, and the servant said, Lord, it is done, thou hast committed, and yet there is room, right? Ultimately, we understand it's 100. Our nation is a big nation, right? What it says, Israel shall be turned into a small number, a small remnant, man. You know, only a remnant are going to be saved. Only 144,000 are going to be saved, right? He said, the Lord said unto the servant, go out to the highways and hedges and compel them to come in, that my house will be fulfilled, right? For I said to you that none of those men which were bidden shall taste of my supper, right? So none of the ones were bidden, but now the ones that elect who are found worthy, they're going to be the ones who are going to be brought in, right? And also, that made me think of verse 23. Made me think of but those Gentiles being brought in. That's why this word is now you having the whole nation come back together in a sense, right? You having the whole nation, right? 144,000 from each, from many tribes of our nation, right? You know, it ain't just the southern kingdom, or it ain't just northern kingdom, it ain't just Judah, it ain't just Gad, it ain't just Benjamin, it ain't just Levi, it ain't just Naphtali, it ain't just, no, it's the whole nation come back together. It's the elect from all the whole nation of Israel, man, right? So going from there, let's go into that supper where it says once again, verse 24 says, for I say unto you that none of those men which were bidden shall taste of my supper. So none of those men which were bidden, because the word done went out. So now none of them are found worthy. So who are those worthy ones to who those ones who are going to be found worthy for the wedding, right? Because when you want a woman in the sense, we don't want a woman who done been laying down with everybody in the world, who done had 7, 8 husbands. She played it out. She got 5, 6 kids, 3, 4 baby daddy. You don't want that, right? So, you want to ultimately you're not gonna find it's rare that you're gonna find a virgin in this generation, right? But in a sense, you're gonna want that woman who's laid back, the woman who's cool, who's not just all out here throwing herself around, right? And that's who, right? Revelation 14, let's go into it. Who those ones who are found worthy of this wedding, right? Revelation 14:4. It says, "These are they which were not defiled with the woman." It's going to the elect, right? Not meaning they ain't out here being intimate, right? But get what? Woman is going to an philosophy. These are the men who are not caught up playing the harlot with these other nations, the other guys, the other daughters, who keeping their sincere vow, who keeping the loyalty to Yahweh Shai in their spiritual marriage, man. It said, "These are they which were not defiled with the woman, for they are virgins," right? In a sense, virgins. In a sense, understanding spiritually, these are the ones who, once again, are focused only on this marriage with Yahweh Shai. They're not focused on nothing else, right? It says, "These are they which follow the Lamb, Yahweh Shai, wheresoever he goeth. They were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits." That's another name for the elect. The first fruits unto Yahweh and to the Lamb. So these are the first fruits, the elect, right? The elect are those ones who are found worthy unto to come into the marriage supper, man. The elect are those ones. Those are the ones who are preparing themselves, arraying themselves in the righteous garments of Yahweh Shai. See, everybody else walking around here naked, in a sense, right? They ain't clothing themselves in the righteousness of Yahweh Shai. That's why Esau used that nakedness on them. Esau used their nakedness to trick them, deceive them, keep them caught up in the world, right? But those elect, they're clothing themselves in that righteous armor of Yahweh Shai. He says, "In their mouth is found no guile, for they are without fault, because before the throne of Yahweh." So these are the elect, man. Those first fruits, right? Let's see. Bear with me. I'm going to say James. Yep, James 1, right? 1:18 is to show you that elect was called his first fruit, right? It says, "Of his own will beget he us with the word of truth, that we should be a kind of first fruits of his creatures." Or these elect, the first fruits, man, right? Let's go to John. Just showing you how the elect, that chosen, right, and been that chosen, right? Those ones who been with Yahweh Shai since the beginning, right? Right, this is John 17. We started 20. It said, "Neither pray I for these alone, but for them which also believe on me through their word, that they all may be one," right? That's that vow, right? "They all may be one, as thou, Father, art in me, and I in thee, that they also may be one in us." That's that marriage, right? Do they not say that in vows, right? Let's read that again, right? It says that they all may be one, as thou, Father, art in me, and I in thee, that they also may be one in us, that the world may believe that thou hast sent me, right? And the glory which thou hast given me, I have given them, that they may be one, even as we are one, and I in them, and thou in me, that they may be made perfect in one, that the world may know that thou hast sent me, hast loved them as thou hast loved me. Father, I will that they also, whom thou hast given me, be with me where I am. Because he with the Father now, right? That they may behold my glory which thou hast given me, for thou loved me before the foundation of the world. Right? It says, O righteous Father, the world hath not known thee, but I have known thee. And these have known that thou hast sent me, talking about the elect. And I have declared unto them thy name, and will declare it, that the love wherewith thou hast loved me may be in them, and I in them. That's that marriage. So in a sense, in the kingdom, when we're going to be chained to these spiritual bodies, and we're going to be joined with Yahweh Shai, the elect. So we're going to be joined with Yahweh Shai, right? And we're going to be perfect. Where the Father's Spirit can dwell upon us. He can't dwell upon us right now because we're filthy. But the Spirit, Yahweh Shai, He's dealing with us. That's why Yahweh Shai is that mediator. He's the one who joined us together while we in that spiritual marriage with. He's that mediator who joined us into Yahweh, the Heavenly Father Yahweh, right? Another one real fast. Let's see. Matter of fact, this one I really just think of my election according to right here, right? What that said what I was going to do to? Bear with me. I thought I had in the precept of mine I wanted to go to I think it's right here. Let's see. Therefore, it also is the same exclusive. That's not it. So it really just slipped my mind. I want to say it was in John, but I really probably read it just going over to John 17. I want to say it was in John, right? But in the sense, let's go back to Revelation 19, right? You know, that spiritual marriage again, and read verses 7, 8, and 9 again, right? Matter of fact, we read this in NLT, you know, Lord willing, right? Touch on everything I want to touch on, you know, just understand this. Going into that marriage, right? They're going into how many was bidden, many were called, but as he said, the ones who were bidden, the ones who were invited, they weren't found worthy. So the ones who were found worthy is who? The ones who preparing themselves, the ones who getting themselves together, those wise ones, right? The elect. Right, those are the ones who are gonna find worthy, those virgins, man, who not defiled, who not planning the hard life, you know, who not being the adultery, right? They focusing only on the spirit of poverty, how about Shah. So Revelation 19:7 on down in NLT. Let us be glad and rejoice. Let us give honor to him, for the time has come for the wedding feast of the Lamb, and his bride has prepared herself, because the time to come is when Yahweh Shah and the chariots crack the sky, man. That's gonna be the time to come. It's when the marriage is going down, the marriage supper is going down, and the only one's gonna be found worthy to be beat up and come into the chariot to be joined with Yahweh Shai, right? Is the elect. Everybody else gonna be destroyed, and there ain't gonna be no I ain't getting no. Nah, everybody got an invite. You can't be mad. You can't be some type of way. Everybody got an invite, but only those elect were found worthy, man. Right? It says she has been given the finest pure white lining to wear, for the fine lining represents Yahweh's good deeds of Yahweh's holy people. And ultimately, Israel is a chosen people. You have the elect. You have the election of Israel, the 144,000, who are the ones who are around themselves in that fine lining, that righteousness of Yahweh Shah, which is that knowledge, understanding, wisdom, and the faith, right? Which is a gift, man. All this is a gift. It ain't given to everybody, right? It says, and the angel said to me, write this: blessed are those who are invited to the wedding feast of the Lamb. And he added, these are the true words that come from Yahweh, man. So blessed are the ones who who can come in, man. You know, who are those ones? Who are the ones that's invited? You know, the elect. Ultimately, everybody else who was invited, they ain't found worthy. Only the elect is worthy to be called into that marriage when they're going to be beat up to the chariots with Yahweh Shai, man. You know. So with that being said, you know, Lord willing, right? Hope this lesson was edifying and exalting, right? And I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and shout out to the whole elect, starting with the 144,000. Shalom.